What's up, y'all? We are talking about a big CSU rivalry win, the first with fans in the stands since 2015. How do the Rams follow up that high against a deceptively tricky New Mexico team that comes in hot and looking to snap a 12-game losing streak? Talking about that and more. Boom. Good morning, y'all. We are back with another edition of DNVR Rams Live. As always, I'm Justin Michael. We have got Andre Simone here.
What's up, my guy?
Alyssa on the sticks, making this all happen behind the scenes. Sorry about the delay, dealing with some technical issues, but we're back. We're talking ball. We're talking a massive matchup this weekend for the Rams, looking to win their 13th straight over New Mexico. These aren't your same old Lobos, though. First things first, man. How you doing? And I guess what was your reaction to this win over Air Force? Because I've talked about it quite a bit since then. But what kind of jumped out to you from that night?
Doing great, man. It's heating up. Baller week of college football after baller week. First rivalry game win with fans in the stands since we've known each other.
That's insane.
We've known each other a minute. So that was fun. I think that's the headline. Won it in ways that I didn't expect this team could win coming into the preseason. Check that off. Didn't win it in ways I thought they could win. So that's the concern.
I mean, they're not stylistically. They're just not the team we thought they were going to be, and that's not necessarily a negative. I don't think. I think they're playing a pretty sustainable brand of football at the moment. There are some things they need to do to open up the offense to have more success. If I think this team is going to, reach the peak that's capable of being reached, but it was a grinded out, tough win on the road against a team that you'd not beat on the road since 2002. You were, I believe, 1-20 in your last 21 rivalry games going into that one, with the only win being over Wyoming during COVID. Certainly closer than it needed to be, much like San Jose State, some self-inflicted wounds.
Yep.
Continue to allow teams to hang around, and they've got some stuff they've got to clean up in that regard. But also, I would just say that I've watched this program a long time, over 2 decades at this point, and I would say back-to-back weeks now they've won a game that, frankly, this program just never wins.
That they used to find ways to lose.
Yeah, even with talent.
In some ways, there's some of that creeps up in the last 2 weeks, too, where it's like, ugh.
Could have been fatal.
They overcame lesser teams. And I mean, San Jose State, we didn't necessarily feel that way coming into the game either.
That's a good point.
And you're suffering through the Torrey injury. Like, that's obviously hanging over a lot of these offensive woes and passing game woes, and they're finding other ways. And you wonder how different can that Air Force game be if that opening drive is just capped off
with
by
a touchdown
and not a fumble at the goal line, right? And we actually had a great comment from 2 weeks ago about the Bowden tiers of a program, and you lose big, then you lose small, then you win small, and then you win big, or win ugly, then win pretty, whatever the expression is. And I mean, if you're an optimist, you would say you're in stage 3. You're in the win ugly stage. You're in the we're going to find ways to grind out games that, we saw them lose last year. We saw them lose for years leading up to this matchup. So again, I think this is a very much if you want to frame it through a glass half full lens, like I am, these are the types of games you've never been able to win. I think you've got a very sustainable brand of football. You're playing physical in the trenches on both sides of the ball, which is really encouraging, especially going into November here. I mean, it's old school Rams football, man.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of the football I grew up with, with Shanahan and the Broncos and Sonny Lubick. We're going to run it down your throat, and we're going to have a quarterback. We're going to get him out in space. We're going to run some play action at you.
Yes.
I'd like to see them do more of that. I thought they did that better against San Jose State than they did against.
They're under center a bunch.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's not Dawes under center stuff.
No, it's more of a West Coast offense than like we're going to play some 1940s style football.
Correct.
But
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, it's going in the right direction, I feel like. Now they've got to find a way to just stop having the dumb little mistakes that allow teams to hang around. I mean, you basically beat yourself against Oregon State with penalties.
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row, I think you very easily could have had a 3-score win, and instead, you're trying to hang on late because of turnovers. What's especially frustrating for me in that aspect is that they've actually cut the picks way down. It's the fumbles this year that are killing the team. Avery Morrow has obviously been the most consistent producer on the team, but also, second straight week, he puts one on the ground in a really inopportune spot, especially, and then Winfield fumbles in the second half, allows them to score there. Mm-hmm. I didn't think the Air Force quarterback, Boucher, crossed the goal line. That's a different debate, but yeah, man.
You had a couple of those, though.
The officiating was skeptical. We'll get into that. They won, so I don't want to get into that, but Air Force had 0 penalties. The Rams got called for a chop block where they weren't even engaged. That's a whole different debate. They won. We don't need to go down that path.
Luckily, you'll go from Mount West refs to Pac-12 refs,
which we know are just great.
Famously the best of the best. That's right. A reputation for just being awesome. Taylor, Jacob, everyone in the Toyota chat, what's up, guys? Mad love to you.
Shout out to all you rocking with us. Shout out if you're watching on Samsung TV. Mama, we made it. It's been so cool to see the growth. Dre and I have been part of this company for a long time, and
the people were excited about it.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of genuine love, which was cool to see. Shout out to everybody in the community. I do want to talk Gabe Kirschke before we get into the New Mexico stuff. We're also going to talk Gardner later.
Yeah.
I wrote yesterday, and I encourage you to become a DNVR diehard. We've got a promotional deal going on at the moment. You can join for just $4 a month. You're going to get access to all our written content across the site. Personally, as a local sports fan, I don't think anybody does it better. And I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm talking Nuggets. I'm talking Broncos, all that stuff. I think I do a pretty good job too. But
the community would agree.
Gabe Kirschke, though, I mean, Joey Porter, Shaq Barrett, Clark Hagans, Mo Kamara, it was that type of night for him. 6 tackles, 1.5 sacks, forced fumble, blocked field goal, and he also had the pressure that led to the interception late in the fourth. And then after that, Air Force gets the ball back. He gets another half sack with Kennedy McDowell, put CSU in a position to take the lead, ensured they maintain the lead. And then once things started to spiral in that second half, he just refused to lose. I mean, they don't win that game without Gabe Kirschke.
100%. And you could see him like he's making sure he's containing on the edge. Like he's not just attacking as soon as the ball snapped, because it's Air Force and he plays as a defensive end and has that edge responsibility. He's keeping contained. And then he's crashing down, and he still had that kind of production. The block field goal is so timely at the end of the first half. The pressure to force that interception on the drive before the Hail Mary attempt.
Huge.
That basically seals the game.
Well, he forced them into a bad decision, and to Dom Jones' credit, made a good play on the ball. They had a couple of nice interceptions. Dylan Phelps' pick was nice too, actually. Saw a CSU corner react to the ball and go get it before the receiver, which is not something they have done very often over the years.
Down the Hail Mary as well.
No
messing around, just knocked it down, never in doubt. That was easy peasy. The forced fumble's insane. How he gets his hand in there. That's another one where he's not crashing down.
Yeah.
He's again containing the edge. No one blocks him, and he's just like, okay.
All right. Well, that's where the length comes into play. I mean, he's 6'4",
so big,
or 6'5", 245.
He plays like it. He's just long. His hands are in your face all day long. Opposing offensive tackles, opposing quarterbacks. He's just got those hands up and in your face. So frustrating, so annoying to play against. He's one of those guys. When I was first doing this, the term speed to power was a little nebulous to me. Mm-hmm. Just watch Kirschke for a couple plays. You understand what speed to power is. The second he has a little forward momentum and can get those long arms into you, I mean, you are struggling to keep up. You're struggling to hold your anchor. He just bowls people over. He was the one unanimous answer we had in our roundtable before San Jose State.
Yeah, about standouts.
About, defensive standout, defensive player of the year. Production kind of quiets down.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, he did have
play started.
Did have the interception against Oregon State, but yeah, kind of slowed down.
Yep. But this is a guy who has a tackle for a loss against Texas, tackle for a loss against Colorado, and then has this monumental game, the MVP of your first rivalry dub in a long time. So yeah,
I mean, it's one of those like when you mention that game 10 years from now, it's the Kirschke game. It's really massive performance, and they need it from him. And I continue to be impressed with the way he approaches things. Obviously, the staff was pretty high on him coming in just because of that frame. I don't know what Wisconsin was doing with him, trying to make him an outside linebacker. I mean, clearly he has the length to thrive in that D-end role.
No kidding.
He's just killing it. He's found a home at CSU. We're going to play an interview from Gabe Kirschke after practice here, kind of talking about all of that. He reflected a little bit, although very humble, about his big performance against Air Force. Also gave some insight into a very tricky matchup against New Mexico and Devon Dampier, which is where we're going next. But here is Gabe Kirschke after practice on Tuesday, and I appreciate him giving me and Kevin some time.
First, just want to ask about New Mexico. Obviously, explosive offense and explosive quarterback, kind of, especially a guy like that can run. What kind of challenges do him and the offense present?
Yeah, he's a huge piece in their offense. He can scramble, he can move, and those are the type of guys you got to find a way to get him on the ground. So I think trying to work on breaking down and making good plays in practice so that happens in the game.
Do you have to alter a little bit how you pass rush just as far as containing and things like that with a guy like him?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I feel like you might have to change it up a little bit, but you stick to what you're going to do, and then just find a way to keep him in the pocket and get some pressure on him.
Obviously different stylistically, but in some ways you feel like Oregon State and Air Force, just kind of with the mobile option at quarterback, have been kind of like nice warm-up tests for this type of matchup.
Yeah, I feel like every game, honestly, you kind of like pick little pieces that you learn from each game, and they all apply to the ones you play in the future. So I feel like when you play a good mobile quarterback, it tests your discipline on how you tackle, especially. So
you're coming off of a massive performance against Air Force. Just what's kind of going through your head as you're making those plays out there?
Yeah, I was thankful for every opportunity that I had. Every play, I was playing to win. So when you play that way and it comes together, it's really special. What was the reaction like when you blocked that field goal? I mean, we saw Jay obviously was really pumped up on the sideline. I imagine that brought a lot of energy going into the locker room. Oh yeah, that's huge. Trying to go into the locker room, that's demoralizing for the other offenses. They're trying to get some points, but for us it was huge because that shuts them at 0 at the half. So that was huge.
I know you hadn't been here for a lot of those, but I mean, this is a program that was 1-20 in its last rivalry games going into that. Just what did it mean to you guys as a team to win a trophy game?
Yeah, it was huge. Like winning a game like that, it felt really good, especially for the old guys and for the seniors. It felt good to give them that. I'm just looking forward to the games ahead too. So.
For you, I mean, what's this year been like getting, the amount of game reps that you've gotten? You're still kind of a relatively young player. Like, what growth have you felt the most in this, half season?
Yeah, I feel like I've been really blessed, and I'm thankful to God for the opportunity and all the coaches that they've been able to trust me and let me do what I feel like I can do, and they've allowed me to showcase that. Every game I feel like I've grown. I've tackled better and found better ways to pass rush, and it's been great having that many snaps to be able to get in there and test myself.
We talked to coaches like, hey, what did you see in this player that made them want you? But it goes two ways too. Like, what was it about this program system that made it a good fit for you?
Yeah, I feel like there's some guys like Mo and some of those guys that played here before, and they had really good production, and I really like the coaches. They feel like they had a plan for me, and they believed in me and what I could do coming out of the portal. So that was really special that they gave me an opportunity. I'm really thankful for them.
What do you feel like changed in that fourth quarter? Obviously, Air Force kind of made it a little bit close there. Speaking with some of the guys yesterday, they thought maybe, lost a little bit of focus or something like that?
Yeah. The discipline. Obviously, when it comes to the fourth quarter, that's when everyone's tired, and that's where you have to really to lock down. I feel like in the end we ended up doing that, but you never want to allow them to get those points on the board late. So that's why we're here out in practice, trying to fix those little things and tackling especially. So, yeah.
It seemed like late in the game on that last offensive series, you guys were sending a lot of pressure. And, sometimes the move is to kind of drop back and then play soft. But as a pass rusher, I got to imagine that's validating.
Yeah, no, it felt really good that he trusted us to go out there and get the job done. And I have players like McKindy and James and Cam and Kenyon and Kennedy, and everyone was getting home. And so it's really good when you all mesh together and you have great other players that you can work with. So, yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thanks, Gabe.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
It, man.
Big shout out to Gabe Kirschke giving us some time, gave some insight into this upcoming matchup against New Mexico, where the defense is going to be tested. This is a Lobos team that scored 50 points in 3 straight games. They've got a top 25 scoring offense nationally. Dre and I are going to talk about all the keys in that matchup, what you kind of need to keep an eye out for. But real quick, trucks, they have always been a part of Toyota's DNA. For generations, Toyota has built durable legends destined for greatness and perfect for Colorado. Whether you're conquering off-road trails or you're just driving downtown, there's a Toyota truck that's right for you. The all-new 2024 Tacoma is sick, as is the 2024 Land Cruiser. Toyota has 17 models with available all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, like the Epic 4Runner. They also offer more low and zero-emission vehicles combined than any other automaker to give customers numerous choices to reduce their carbon footprint. With 16 hybrid vehicles to choose from, like the Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck, not to be outdone, Toyota SUVs take command on the road and on that trail, so you can explore the road less traveled without sacrificing smooth city rides in SUVs like the RAV4 and Grand Highlander. Toyota is a proud partner of CSU Athletics and the official vehicle of DNVR.
Bang.
Dre, have you been sleeping on sleep?
Always.
Because UC Health, they say, nah, don't do that.
No, you can't.
You got to prioritize it. And especially like as we get into, flu season here and everything else, it's just when life starts to add up. I feel like this is the time as you get to the holidays where, you're running out of steam and you're just trying to cross that goal line. UC Health, they want to help you with just choices every single day, like prioritizing proper rest, going out, getting exercise and eating the right things, all of that stuff. But the biggest pillar this year is prioritizing rest. When you get those 8 hours of sleep, everything about your life is going to be better. Cognitive function, you're going to feel better. Your body is just going to feel better. You're going to be less achy. All that fun stuff. Just a couple of tips for you. Try to put the phone down. If you're sitting there scrolling on your app, it's going to make your mind race. You're not going to get that nice little relaxation you need going into sleep time. If you want to join UC Health's Ready Set Co Challenge, click the link in the show notes or go to www.uchealth.org/ReadySetCo. And again, do not sleep on sleep.
It's a great call.
All right, let's talk about this New Mexico matchup. I think transitioning with Kirschke into this is a good place to go because New Mexico offensively, they're going to challenge you. Look, yeah. I know CSU has won 12 games going in. What scares you the most about this matchup? I mean, it's obviously Dampier, but what about him?
It's Dampier and almost entirely Dampier. What scares you about him is the dual threat ability. He's just a live wire. He's going to be someone you need to contain on every single play. He leads them in rushing by over 100 yards, accounts for 10 rushing touchdowns.
0 sacks, too, with how much he runs around, which is a credit to the New Mexico line, but also just his ability to evade and buy time. Yes. And that's what's so tricky about him is he can just extend the play. Maybe he takes off and scrambles on you because he's probably the best open field runner in the conference outside of GNT. Or maybe he makes a circus throw across the field because he's got a nice arm. I mean, he's undersized, but
very nice arm.
And he's great on the move. He's
throws
just
it well on the move. Yep.
Such a tough test for this defense.
100%. What he has is a 1-for-1 touchdown to interception ratio.
They do turn the ball over.
And that goes to show you, like, as good as he is as a runner, as good as his arm is, and as little sacks as he has, he is kind of a boomer bust kind of guy on every single play. So he will avoid those sacks, but sometimes might throw a terrible interception.
Where I struggle with evaluating him is like, how much do I fault him in those spots? Because they're a bottom 3 scoring defense. They score 37 points a game, but they give up 43, which ranks 132nd at 134 teams. It's one of those where it's like him being Superman is the only reason they're in these games, but it's also in a couple of tight spots been the reason that they haven't been able to pull out the wins. The big key for them in these last 3 wins has been limiting some of those turnovers. They haven't had as many, albeit against 3 not good teams. I mean, I think they've combined for 4 total wins this season, the 3 teams they've beaten in this streak.
Yep.
But point blank period, this just is not the same type of New Mexico team that's rolled into town over the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm. And it's Dampier. I mean, he has played up to a maximum potential of what I saw when I was kind of hyping him up in the preseason.
He's QB1 at this point in the conference, wouldn't you say, from what we've seen?
Yeah, sure feels like it. Huh?
I mean, he's a little undersized, but he's thick, so he's hard to bring down. He's a great athlete.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think he's cleared like UNLV, right?
Yeah, I like both those guys UNLV had. I think they're fine for the system, but I think the strength of those UNLV teams is running the ball and then obviously having Ricky White out wide and defensively. I do too.
And you could extend it to like Wazoo and Oregon State too.
Yeah,
I think if you were over either of those quarterbacks.
Yeah, definitely over Oregon State. If it was a fantasy draft to the Mountain West, GNT won him too?
Probably.
At least right now. I mean, I think if injuries aren't into the equation.
There's some wideouts in that conversation for sure. But yeah, if you're just drafting fantasy, no, it's Dampier.
That dual threat ability is just so unique. Like, he is genuine. I mean, I don't like saying this because I'm not trying to, he runs like a running back. I'm not being one of those guys that, Lamar's not a quarterback. That's not what I'm saying. He's a quarterback. But goddamn, does he test you defensively and test your discipline? It was great to see CSU getting home so consistently. I thought the pass rush was the best it had been all season.
Contain's going to be crucial, though.
That's the thing, you mentioned Kirschke and just how controlled he is. It's controlled violence. It's not going in like a bull in a china shop.
Yeah.
Against this type of team, it's tough because you want to get in his face, but I mean, the minute you over pursue, he takes off. And I mean, you're in a really precarious position at that point as a defense. And he stresses you for every second of the play, which is not something that I would say is the case that frequently.
No, for sure. He's a real X factor. I mean, him and Kirschke are going to be hot NIL commodities next offseason.
Yeah, I mean, trying to hang on to Kirschke is definitely going to be, I mean, anybody in this league at this point, it's tough to hang on to guys. CSU's been able to do so, and I'm sure Gabe's going to get a lot of support from the community here. I'd be shocked if Dampier's back at New Mexico. I don't like saying that, because that's.
But it was already in the offseason. We were saying we're surprised they were able to retain him.
Yeah, I think he's better than a whole lot of quarterbacks you watch starting in the Big 12 and the ACC. I mean, that's talent that translates.
He starts the year he wasn't the starter last year, but he had some games and he flashed. And that's why I was so high on him. So, no, I mean, Dampier is the star of the show, just top to bottom. There's nothing else to really talk about. Then it's the just multitude of deficiencies that this team has.
Well, that's the
thing. Deeply flawed.
Flawed defensively is, I mean, it's brutal. They don't have great depth outside of their guys that contribute. Like, they've got big shout out to Luke Weissong. He's having a renaissance year here for the Lobos. But outside of him, like, the receiver talent doesn't terrify you. They've got some injuries in the backfield right now. We'll see how that kind of impacts them. But I mean, I think the big key here is can you limit the explosive plays?
Yeah.
Can you capitalize on those errant throws when, they do have those opportunities? Can you create some turnovers, create some momentum the other way? And then offensively, there's going to be some Ram fans that don't like to hear this, but you're not trying to win a shootout in this game. If you try and go blow for blow, 60-yard pass for 60-yard pass, explosive play for explosive play. That favors New Mexico. That's the type of games they find ways to win because they have got such a dynamic playmaker under center and the ability to run, the ability to throw. That's where he thrives, going up tempo, back and forth. You want to control the pace against a team that's given up 240 yards a game on the ground.
Control the game, control the clock, win the turnover margin.
Don't beat yourself.
Just be the more responsible, in control team, and that's the game plan to win. Spence in the Toyota chat saying, hoping the 12th man shows up, gives an edge. I think that's huge too. Like, has Canvas ever had the opportunity to root for a Rams team that had a above 500 record in conference play? Probably not.
Very early on in 2017. They beat Nevada to go 5-3, and this would be the first time they'd be 2 games above 500 since 2017. So, it'd just
be awesome to have an atmosphere that matches.
Well,
that.
And it's probably going to be a sellout. It's homecoming weekend. They were already, I think they were announced less than 3,000 tickets available at the beginning of the week.
Yeah.
Even if you don't sell those, you just give them to the students, so it'll be a sellout anyways.
Make
you got to capitalize on this moment. You know, we just talked about winning games that this program has never won. Now you're in a completely different spot. You know, last week you're going into a place where you had not won in 22 years. You had not beat that team, period, in almost a decade. Now you're playing a New Mexico team who, for whatever reason, you just have had their number going, have not lost to them since November 21st, 2009.
Hell yeah.
Just a couple of fun facts for you guys out there. I was a freshman in high school, 14 years old. The Billboard #1 song was Fireflies by ALLCITY. I've lived over 50% of my life since that date. I'm 29, since UNM last beat CSU. Yeah. It's not like the Rams have been very dominant during that stretch either. It's just been this weird matchup that they've been able to pull it out. They've won a handful of like 3-point games, coin flip games that could have gone the other way. But this is a big test. I mean, the Oscar winner for Best Picture was Slumdog Millionaire. That's how long it's been. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 had just been released 11 days before on the 360. It was a different world. It was a different world back
Indeed
then.
It was.
Now,
I just graduated college.
Doesn't that make you feel old?
J-Mike, you don't know the half of it, buddy. Yeah, I feel really old. This year, I've never felt older than I feel this year.
I'm getting there too, man. I mean, I'm obviously approaching 30. I think that's when things start to change on you a little bit. I don't know,
it, buddy.
Well, I mean, I'm around college kids all the time too, so like it's just a constant reminder of remember when I was like in shape and good looking still.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Those were the days. But getting back on track here, you have an opportunity if you're CSU to make a statement. You won 2 games that you typically don't win in previous years. Now you're going against a New Mexico team who you've owned, but they're punching up a little bit. They're showing some friskiness. Can you take advantage? Can you not beat yourself? Can you lean on that ground game, which has been terrific? Last year, they had 7 runs of 15 or more yards all season. They've already got 21 this season.
I mean, Avery's just playing.
He's been the second best back in the league.
The offensive line has been fantastic.
And that's where I wanted to go because I think the O-line is going to be a major factor in this one. If you can do what you want to do on the ground game, have some success through the air too, but especially like just really control tempo, win in the trenches, shorten the game a little bit. The more times you put the ball in Dampier's hand, the more you're asking for trouble. You need what has been the identity of this team, albeit surprisingly, a ground and pound physical team, to really play a factor here over this second half of the season. In theory, these are the exact type of games for why you have transitioned to this style. Like we've been the team that throws it 50 times a game and has all these 100-yard receivers. And guess what? They still lost 48-41. These are the type of games where ideally this physical identity, being able to dictate the tempo a little bit more, should come into play and be a big benefit for you.
I mean, same could be said about the San Jose game, the Air Force game, right? Like, those are 2 teams that you wanted to either match Air Force's style and give them a bit of a taste of their own medicine.
Which they kind of did.
San Jose State is similar to this matchup, right? Like, Oh, you got your cutesy, high-powered offense. Like, welcome to some adult football.
I'm going to punch you in the mouth a little bit.
That's right.
Got to have the success on. They've been doing a good job getting off the field on third down the last couple of weeks, which has been a stark difference between early on in the year. Big factor in that. Defensively, you're having success on first and second down. You're putting them in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9 pretty consistently. That's what you want to do. I mean, as much as you can, try and make them one-dimensional. Try and force Dampier into some bad throws. And guys, it might not be the flashiest performance, but I mean, like, to me, this feels like the type of game you're trying to win, like 31-20 or something like that. You know, you're going to give up some plays because New Mexico has that type of offense.
Air Force put 37 up on these guys. Air Force's offense.
Oh, New Mexico State might have the worst offense in the country, and they put 30 plus on them too. So I mean, this is
right.
This is where you should really flex offensively. But the big key is just don't beat yourself.
Braden can match Dampier.
Oh, like, he's arm talent wise. It's I mean, he's
even in the biggest criticism of BFN is he's a little boomer bust himself, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're saying about Dampier.
Dampier's been much more erratic than BFN has. BFN's done a good job of reining in some of those wild throws. He's managing the game. I think he's developing more chemistry with some of these receivers. I mean, look, you can be critical of him, and his decision-making, especially at times, has been frustrating over the last 2 years. But obviously the raw talent is there. And just one of the things I've been trying to drive home over the last couple weeks is I don't think, especially like for people that have never been around the practice process and like how hard it is to transition styles, especially like in fall camp, to be a guy that went from playing basically exclusively out of the gun to now under center 90% of the time. Like, it was going to take him a little bit of an adjustment period.
100%. And look, end of the day, you're one of 4 teams that are undefeated in conference play. 2 of those teams will be playing each other tomorrow.
Yeah, you control your own fate.
You've got a massive opportunity.
You don't play any of the other 3 teams that are at the top of the division. Like, that's right. You have such a favorable schedule, and that's why you got to take advantage. It's encouraging the direction. They do got to clean some stuff up. I think if you blow out San Jose State and Air Force like you very easily could have, you were the better team for the vast majority of those games, then everybody's probably puffing their chests a little bit. But you got to respect this New Mexico team. Yeah, you got to trust them. Before we get into some power rankings and all that kind of stuff, I do want to pick your brain on Jacob Gardner, who's currently PFF's #1 graded center in the FBS. Real quick, though, do you want to shout out Coors Light?
Let's go.
Guys, life gets challenging. It throws a lot of things our way. Work,
does it ever?
Social media. You guys know it. You're going through it. We're all out here. You might have
to blow your nose on air really hard, and you're going to slip off air.
Dre's doing what he's got to do. Life's all about choices. It's about how you manage those situations. Dre being a team player right now, big shout out to him. Big shout out to the homies at Coors Light who encourage you to choose a chill mindset. You know, why not turn a rained out barbecue into like a dance party inside? When the mountains turn blue, cold as the Rockies, cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for that smooth finish. Crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies. Make the most out of the time you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. I also want to shout out the Upswing Foundation. We've been talking about that of late. It's really cool, guys. The Upswing Foundation, it's really the first of its kind. It's an awesome facility, and you're going to want to check it out on this open house that's coming up on November 3rd. What they do is they put performance coordinators and experts of, training, dance. They've got a couple of different programs there, but they put them with youth athletes, give them an opportunity to learn from the best, to learn what it takes in a dedicated space that allows them to thrive in their craft, sports performance, dance classes, recovery, all of that included. It's free for the athletes.
It's great stuff.
Includes pneumatic boots, anti-gravity chairs, all kinds of fancy stuff. Upswing is the only youth sports foundation based in Colorado's Mile High training grounds that provides access to world-class programs alongside top athletes for kids in order to connect people and catapult dreams. Athletes under 18 can sign up at upswingfoundation.org/login or by downloading the Upswing Foundation app. If you listen to this show, use the code DNVR for 20% off all services with the code DNVR20 at checkout. Upswing also offers scholarships to qualifying athletes under 18 years of age to train in sports performance, dance, and recovery. in their new state-of-the-art facility right there in Centennial. Big shout out to them. Big shout out to all of you in the Toyota chat. If you wouldn't mind giving us a thumbs up. If you're watching on Samsung TV, hi. I wanted to get your thoughts on Jacob Gardner because, the guy in the middle of the line, the center, a lot of the time not getting a ton of glory, not getting a lot of love, but I do think he is a big factor in this success. Really, the interior O-line as a whole for CSU has been tremendous. Currently PFF's #1 graded center in the entire country.
Wowzers.
What stands out to you about him, and how do you kind of view him in terms of his next level possibilities?
Yeah, first watch, he just screams kind of undersized zone blocking scheme type O-lineman type center. If you're a Broncos fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We were raised on these kinds of guys, Tom Nalen and all the greats like that, right? Just like he's not going to create a ton of push right off the gap, not necessarily a power gap.
Yeah, it's not going to maul you.
O-lineman, but boy, he's so good at moving you side to side, at beating you to that spot, at getting his body in the way, finding that angle block. That great touchdown, Goffney, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, last week?
Yeah.
It was Goody.
I'm sorry.
No, yes, geez.
My name blindness. Air Force is running a stunt. D lineman comes right at Gardner. Gardner picks him up going right, and there's a stunt then coming to his left to try and get through the other A gap. As he's holding on to this defender to the right, he's moving his hips left to get into that lane to block off that other one, giving BFN enough time to have a clean pocket over the middle, get that strike, and create a big touchdown. In the run game, he's so good at just moving guys. But in a phone booth, once he gets you within his range, he's got that strength to like just swivel his hips, out leverage you, and get you to the ground. Great finisher. I think he's going to be underrated in NFL terms. Day 3 type pick.
No, he doesn't have the frame of like a traditional prototypical NFL center.
He must be a smidge older.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's 21 or 22 at this point. He's a 5-year starter.
No, that would be fine. I thought more like 24 because of that 5-year starter. So the NFL, of course, there are so many Shanahan disciples, right? Like that whole Washington, Mike Shanahan staff, they're all head coaches now, right? They're all running that scheme, even though McVay's gone to more of a power scheme. Those types of teams will look at him and see someone who could really be a diamond in the rough. He's just a great watch, man. He is a phenomenal watch. He's got some deceptive power. He finishes guys. He can knock you over. That anchor, he can anchor down on you quicker than you might think for a guy his size. And yeah, he's really impressive.
Do you like that obviously he's not going to be playing outside in the NFL. And the entire reason they moved him to center 3 years ago and that was always the plan, was that they viewed him as a guy who translates really well in the interior at the next level. But 2022, he did play left tackle for you, that positional versatility, and just knowing that, to me, that's like one of the greatest selling points of, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but that's where you see that functional strength and some of this stuff, that he's just so technically sound. Like, he's not the biggest dude in the world. He's not overwhelmingly athletic or anything like that. But that dude just, he's incredibly savvy. He's, makes all the calls and all that. And then on top of that, he's just really dependable.
100%. What that speaks to more than anything is that for a center, he stands out pretty well in his ability to block one-on-one in pass protection. And that's kind of a bonus for centers, because that's that one position where a lot of times you can just stick to double and you're not forced to just go one-on-one with someone. That's where you have that fifth man advantage. But he has that in his bag. And it's why he might be suited to switch to the left side and be a left guard in the right scheme, right? So yeah, there's a little versatility. It just checks off a lot of boxes. I think there'll be several teams that target him as kind of a priority undrafted guy or a priority guy come rounds 6 and 7.
You heard the man. Dre is our draft expert. We'll be going live later on, 11:30 a.m. with the draft pod. We do that every week. Make sure you lock in.
College football all the time.
Yeah, we talk a lot of national stuff. It's a lot of fun. Shout out to Jacob Gardner, though. The unsung heroes, the big boys in the trenches. And him, Drew Moss, and Morley in the interior are a big part of that rushing success, as is Morrow's vision on, some of these zone schemes. I feel like he's done a better job of hitting the hole and, not missing it than, some of the younger guys. But that just comes with experience.
That's what she said.
Let's get into the Mountain West Power Rankings, and we'll fly through some picks before we get out of here.
Please.
We'll kind of rapid fire at the bottom because we've been taking too long on some of these. 12 through 10, we've got Air Force at 12, Wyoming 11, Utah State 10, all 1-6. Do you have any beef with that order?
No, that seems right to me. I mean, come on, man. These are not.
They're not good teams right now.
These are not.
And I mean, this
squads.
is a big reason why, even after the slow start, it was still like, dude, this team still needs to win 7+ games, because you had 7 home games. You get all 3 of these bottom teams to close the season. Like these are where you got to take advantage.
And it's what low key is a bit of a bummer with these rivalry games, is you're finally in this position where you feel like this is the year, right? You should go 2-0 against Air Force and Wyoming. And now they're so bad, it's like, you actually should win.
I get what you're
less
saying.
Of a like.
But I mean, at the same time,
they did it, and more of a they needed.
They did what they should have done.
Yeah.
But I mean, there were a lot of those years where those Rams teams were not any good, and I promise you, there was nobody in Laramie or the Springs being like, "Well, actually, they're not any." It was a lot of rubbing it in the faces. So take the highs when they come. You should have beat this team, but also, man, saw some teams, especially in the Bobo era, where CSU just had a significant talent advantage and go into those matchups and find ways to lose. But I mean, I don't think these are the games 15 years from now you're puffing your chest about, like, you remember that season sweep? They weren't any good when we did it in 2013 either. But Hawaii, I got them at 9, 2-5, 0-2, lost 3 straight. Hawaii and Nevada play this weekend in a matchup where basically whoever loses, you can kind of take them out of bowl contention. Both of them are desperate. But I've got Hawaii 9, Nevada 8. But this 6 through 8 range I really struggled with, because I've got, right now we've got Hawaii 9, Nevada 8, New Mexico 7, San Diego State 6. But I think you could make an argument that New Mexico should be as low as 9 for how poor they are defensively. But I think the quarterback conversation is legitimate, because he's the difference in a lot of these types of games. Nevada, I think, is probably the most complete, the toughest, but they don't have great depth. San Diego State's got good explosiveness, and their defense is what's allowing them to be frisky here. I don't know. Is there anybody I'm too high on or too low?
I mean, the argument would be New Mexico, yeah.
Too high?
That they've been frisky enough to where I could argue they're maybe a smidge too low.
I think I had them at 5 when I first started this, and then I just started going through it, and I was like,
I believe it, man. But it's also like,
I got to see them do it against a quality team.
Guys,
yeah.
I almost worry we're drinking the Kool-Aid a bit too much.
I think this weekend's a good test. Like if CSU blows this New Mexico team out, which I don't expect, but if they did,
that'd be a nice change of pace.
It'd be so nice. I'd really like to be able to write my story in the fourth quarter for once.
It's been a minute, huh?
It's been so long. And the times I've done it, I've had to erase it because they find a way to blow it. So I'm like gun shy.
But it's also like New Mexico gets the benefit that we're a Twitter society. So we always overreact on the first 2 drives. Your timeline will always have the first 2 drive overreactions. And then the takes on the rest of the game are always less loud. You see them less on the timeline, but they often are more meaningful. And so New Mexico has this benefit because they were frisky against Montana State, and they hung with Auburn for the first half before getting dog walked 28-6 in the second half, to where we think of them as better than they actually are. And it's like, come on, man. They haven't beat anyone.
I mean, the teams they have beat over the last 3 weeks are objectively awful. Now, one of the ones that CSU beat is also objectively awful because it was Air Force.
Correct.
Both these teams beat them.
Correct.
Both of these teams went up more than 3 scores against Air Force, then allowed them to kind of sneak back in the fourth quarter, probably lost focus a little bit.
Right.
Probably indicative of teams that have not been there before, at least any time recently.
Yeah.
But really interesting matchup. I think we'll see a pretty drastic shakeups with the power
Aztecs.
rankings.
I really don't know what to make of, man.
I don't either, because I don't
so
believe in them at
confused by that
all.
team.
But they've got one of the best edge rushers in the country. He's got like 11 sacks.
He's up there.
They're making some plays offensively. O'Neal's starting to figure it out a little bit under center. He looks like a freshman, but yeah, 5 through 9 is very much a crapshoot. I think that's its own tier. I think this is another tier here with Fresno at 5, San Jose State 4, CSU 3.
Yeah.
Fresno grinded it out against Nevada. They found a way to win a tough one on the road. That's a testament to them. I talked about last week, they were kind of two programs trending in the right direction. That was a win they desperately needed, one that hurts if you're Nevada and trying to sneak into a bowl. San Jose State won a very ugly game against Wyoming, but I mean, at this point, you're 5-2, 3-1. And they do have some talent offensively, although it seems like they're gonna switch from Brown to Eget at quarterback. It seems I don't really know what they're doing offensively at the moment.
Sounds like the decision an Eget would do. I don't know.
But do you think CSU should? We had them at 3 last week. Do you keep them at 3?
It's crazy to say they're the third best team in the conference. It's crazy, objectively.
Yeah,
as two guys
it's a down year for the league.
This, right. But I think it's correct. I think it's correct.
I mean, you got the head-to-head against San Jose, obviously.
Exactly, which is the big one. We'll see what happens with Fresno. We'll see what happens with New Mexico, right? That could flip-flop those rankings. But as of now, it's kind of 3 through 12 and then the top 2. And of the 3 through 12, I think this week, like last week, the best argument for who is third does go to the Rams, though. I fully admit, I think a lot of people would probably put Fresno 3. I think yes, exactly. You took the words out of my mouth. Yes, thank you.
We're not as high on them though as other people are this year.
We know ball.
They're a good team. They're still gonna win like 7 games, 8 games, but
I've been on Fresno being overrated since the last 2 months of last season. So I'm not changing
when they really,
now.
I mean, we saw them start to trend in the wrong direction, and they turned the ball over a lot. They force a lot of turnovers, but they turn the ball over a lot. We'll see.
Joey B says in the Toyota chat, 30 years a season ticket holder, Ram Club member here for CSU. If Norvell can't beat UNM in front of a packed homecoming crowd, gonna get ugly in the stands.
I think he's right. I think this game is very scary because it's deceptively a tricky matchup, but it's also a game you've got to win at home. It's going to be homecoming. You're probably going to have a packed crowd. Like, you completely laid an egg for the CU game. This doesn't redeem that, not even close. But if you can follow it up with the first rivalry win and, since 2015 with fans in the stands with a big time performance at home, that's why, again, I don't expect it. But if you could get like a blowout win in this one, I think it would just do so much from a good faith standpoint and inspiring the team kind of going into this last month and the supporters.
Correct.
I got Boise 1, UNLV 2.
Spot on.
I think you could make an argument for UNLV 1, just especially because Boise's coming off the bye. UNLV won a game on the road at Oregon State last week. Good response from them. They've been very complete.
Yeah, most complete team in the conference.
How do you stop Ashton Jeanty? Because I don't think anyone can, though. And that's Boise. I mean, I might as well just write Ashton Jeanty 1.
Correct.
Like, he is Plus doing things I've never seen.
And they're enough Boise State in the trenches to have that usual advantage that they typically have in conference play.
They don't have the talent in the secondary they usually have, though. And I do wonder,
outside is lacking.
Like, could Ricky White kind of break this one open for UNLV, especially with a hot start there? Like, if you could force Boise, I think even if Boise went down 3 scores, they'd still run the ball because Jeanty's such a home run hitter.
You have to.
That, we're more likely of him busting a 70-yarder than Madsen going all the way down the field.
You have to.
But Madsen has been good. I'm being critical of him. He's just very limited with what he brings to the table. But he doesn't need to do much with how good that O-line is and with how they're running the football, and they're starting to rush the passer. So that's a good place to start here with our picks. Week 9, Friday night in Vegas, number 17 Boise State, 3.5-point favorites on the road over the Rebels. Which way you lean?
Playoffs.
We're talking
playoffs for this game.
The Mountain West,
no doubt. This is a play-in. playing for the playoffs. Boise. Broncos all the way. Hook scares me. 3.5. Vegas knows what they're doing. It's a home game for the Buck, so they would know. But no, Boise State. I respect UNLV a lot. I do think they're the more complete team. Really like that secondary. I think you could make an argument Ashton Genty as the offensive player of the year in the entire country. I think you can make the argument Jalen Catalon, the former Arkansas and Texas safety who's second in the country in interceptions for the Running Rebels, could be defensive player of the year in the country. It is a great matchup, two great teams. One great team against the great player. And yeah, I'm taking the great player because he is that great. Also, we've seen this movie before.
That's the thing that's so...
You know this, man.
For whatever reason, my gut is UNLV going into this game. And it's just a gut. There's no logic in that whatsoever. It's just, I don't know. Just for whatever reason, I feel like they're going to win this game.
Yep.
Every part of me knows that Boise is inevitable. We talked about it before they even made their run last year when they were sitting a couple games out of it. We're like, watch, they'll run the table and they'll still win the league. It's exactly what they did.
Correct.
I believe in that Barry Odom defense. I don't know if they're going to be able to, they're not going to shut down Genty, but could they slow him down enough, like hold him to 180 yards instead of 240? Maybe. I'm going UNLV, and I hate every second of it, but give me UNLV to cover that 3.5, and I actually think I'm going to take UNLV outright to win the game.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm really going to regret it, I'm sure. But that's where I'm at.
Oh, man.
Give me UNLV at home. I like the home dog. I think it should be a fun atmosphere. It's going to be a ton of Boise fans there.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah, I don't know why.
It's a fun travel game.
It's just my gut. Utah State, 1-point favorites in Laradice over Wyoming. Good luck picking this one. I mean, Wyoming's been frisky. They've lost back-to-back games. They probably should have won. Utah State, offensively, kind of like New Mexico. They score some points. Defensively, they are just a mess. Give me Wyoming at home.
If you're
put your hard-earned money on this game for the record.
Send me screenshots if you're watching this game. Like I want to know. I want to know who you are.
Do you need a helpline? Maybe.
Well, maybe, but I'll go positive and bless your heart. I love you so much. I think your dedication to this sport is unrivaled. If you're watching Utah State at Wyoming, oof, give me the Aggies, but I hate it.
I do wonder if,
Wyoming's
24 points is probably enough to win this game. And I wonder...
What is the total?
I don't even know. I bet it's under 45.
My, oh my, oh my.
I mean, these teams are brutal. San Jose State going to Fresno. Fresno 5-point home favorites. Where are you leaning?
Honestly, if San Jose State wasn't making the switch at quarterback,
I would too.
I'd go with them and Emmett Brown, but no, -5. Fresno's home. It's set well. This is what Bill Simmons would call this in the Vegas zone, -5. You know, they're saying like,
there's no value there.
I'm not sure I know what I'm doing. So against the spread, I might just say screw it and go San Jose State. On the money line, I do think Fresno covers. Fresno gets it done, though.
I think Fresno wins by about a touchdown. They probably cover late. Wazoo 14-point favorites at San Diego State. A little steeper than I anticipated.
It's too high. They're begging you to take San Jose State, which means buyer beware on Wazoo. What I like is the total. You don't even need to tell me what it's at. I like it. And yeah, I'm going to go Wazoo merely because I am being dared to take San Jose State. If I didn't learn these hard-learned lessons over the years, I would just take San Jose State. It seems too good to be true.
San Diego State.
San Diego. That's what I mean. Yes. But I know better. So go Cougs, I guess.
Yeah, I think Washington backdoors this one. I think it'll be around a 7-10 point game, most of it, but they cover late. Nevada, 1-point favorites on the road at Hawaii. I think there's a lot of people that are going to... Nevada's tough. I'm sticking with my brand. Give me Hawaii at home.
This is Oh, geez. What's the opposite world? Bizarro this is world. Bizarro world Utah State at Wyoming, by the way.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And yes, Rainbow Warriors forever on the island.
Nevada's scary, man. They're tough.
Again, though, the book's daring you to take Hawaii here.
I know, it's a little cheesy, for sure.
Like, just a pick 'em on the island? My spidey senses are tingling, no doubt.
This is a big test. This is the type of game that Hawaii has not been able to win this year. So it's a big coin flip for them again. I think basically both these teams playing for their seasons in this one. Nevada's going to be up for that CSU matchup either way, but still, like, more or less, this is their season. Give me Hawaii. Finally, we'll wrap up here. New Mexico coming to Fort Collins. Rams 6.5 point favorites over the Lobos. Do they cover that?
I don't trust this team to cover a spread that's 6.5. I just don't.
I mean, that's fair based on what we've. They technically have covered it the last couple weeks. It's just been much tighter than it needed to be.
I think this is one where you create your own teaser SGP where you buy the spread down to like Rams -3, and then you buy up the total, and it's Rams -3 plus the over. Bang bang. I think that's the play. I do like the Rams to win. I think it's going to be an electric, fun game and fairly high scoring. And ultimately, the Rams pull it out and make it closer than it has to be. Kind of the script that we've seen in conference play.
I actually think it's going to be back and forth all game, and then CSU pulls away late. I think it's going to be like you give up some plays, and then a late turnover in your favor kind of flips it, go down, run the ball, score, maybe get another turnover. I feel like New Mexico has been due for about 10 years now, so I'm genuinely not trying to be like the cocky CSU fan. Oh, we haven't lost to them, in over half my life, because this matchup scares the hell out of me. I've seen CSU make a lot of self-inflicted wounds these last couple weeks. Having said that, I think this is the week that they figure it out. I think the Rams win this one. I'm going to say they win by double digits even.
Let's go.
Pull this one out. Big time win over New Mexico on homecoming. The fans, enjoy it. We finally get a good fourth quarter canvas chaos moment, all that fun stuff.
Maybe the most optimistic I've ever heard you going into a week for the Rams.
And I'm scared. Like, I just think what they're doing is...
Yeah. This feels like a fade J Mike's picks week.
It might be. Yeah. It might be. Or it's I've got a gut feeling.
My guy's sharp.
I'm on it.
My guy's sharp this week. It might be. It could be.
We'll see. Either come Monday, I'm either going to be looking real smart or real dumb for picking UNLV and CSU.
Let's go.
But that's what it's all about. It's a fun year. Feels like the league is fairly wide open, largely because of some scheduling discrepancies, and then like CSU, San Diego State, and not having to play UNLV and Boise and all that. But take advantage of it. I don't care. They've been bad for so long.
Right.
We have not seen this team
beat
bad teams in a really long time.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Right.
Take care of business.
Yes.
Stop with the sloppiness. And when you have an opportunity to step on their throat, step on their throat. Okay? Finish him. It's not that complicated. The Rams are a better team. They are playing a sustainable brand, but this is a really big test for them.
I'm fairly sure what you those three principles are in the Tao Te Ching as a life philosophy to abide by. So it translates to this
Put
week
it in your
for
kitchen,
the Rams,
right next to Live, Laugh, Love.
It translates to how you live your life on a daily basis. So there you go. It's now or never. It's now or never, J Mike.
Take advantage of the schedule.
Yes.
Beat teams you're better than.
Yes.
You've shown real toughness over the last month, but this is again, much like these last couple of weeks, these are the type of matchups that CSU has found a way to let slip away over the last 10 years. If you win these games, whether it's ugly or not, I just think it would be indicative of a program that's figuring some things out. I believe it's going in the right direction. I do. I want to see them clean some things up. That's where I'm at going into this matchup. Shout out to Dre. Shout out to Alyssa behind the sticks. Shout out to all you in the Toyota chat and everybody listening on the audio only side later on. Much love, y'all. I'll be going live tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. as well as Saturday post-game, Saturday evening. Always proud to be. Peace.
All city like the mayor.